The Juke matters to Nissan, and matters big. The original model sold in vast numbers globally and made Nissan a tidy profit in the process, which is why they've thrown the kitchen sink at this all-new model, both from an engineering and a design point of view. It's bigger inside and out, yet still looks compact and much more sporting this time round. Its 1 litre 3-cylinder engine is turbocharged and doesn't just produce more power and torque than before, but is also cleaner and more efficient. And at the same time, the Juke's interior has had a big makeover, containing more tech, much higher quality materials, and crucially, a lot more space in the rear. So on the surface, Nissan appears to have done a proper number on the all-new Juke. But what's it like to drive? Auto Express went to Spain last week to find out.
Well, on the move, the new Juke is not exactly what you'd call cutting-edge sporting. But I have to say, and having done quite a few miles in it now on quite a few different roads, it is better than I was expecting. It is actually, all right, not at the cutting edge, but it is really quite sporting in feel. A lot more sporting than the previous model. You've got these 3 different mode buttons that you can play with down here as well on the center console, which select Eco, Standard, and then Sport. And that just changes the map of the throttle basically, but it also changes the steering weight and therefore the steering feel too. And when you put it in Sport and you find a decent road to drive the new Juke on, it's pretty good, I have to say. The steering in particular is very, very kind of precise, nicely weighted. I mean, we're not talking about a car here that needs super brilliant dynamics, but it is surprisingly tidy in everything it does. It rides really nicely, I have to say, but it also handles well. I mean, the front end is really quite sharp on the new Juke. Whether the typical customer of this car will give much of a monkeys about that, I don't know, but the fact is this thing's dynamics are better than you'd expect, probably better than is necessary. You look at the spec of the new engine, 1 litre 3 cylinders turbocharged. That seems to be the way everyone is going with petrol engines nowadays, because you just get more torque and more efficiency. It's cleaner, and it just is more potent than traditional old 4-cylinder turbocharged engines. You get 200 Newton meters of torque on overboost. Now that is not bad in a car that weighs 23 kilograms less than it did before. As a result, the performance is kind of perky, you know. 0 to 62 takes just over 10 seconds, I think, which ain't much, I know, but the nature of the delivery it's pretty cheerful. It's not rapid, it's not quick, but it's quick enough. The new Juke feels refined on the move too. They've actually said to me that they're not too happy with the seals on this window, and that they will be better in the full production cars, but to be honest, I can't hear much wind noise. Fundamentally, the new Juke feels pretty refined on the move. It actually offers a very nice combination, very nice balance between feeling comfortable and relaxed and normal and just kind of everyday anodyne in the way it goes down the road, but also having this little extra sporting edge that you don't expect. Although, having said that, when you look at the exterior, which I think looks cracking, you do expect it to be quite sporty, because you know there's a sort of whiff of GTR about those rear wheel arches and that line that goes above the rear wheels. So you look at it from the outside and think, yeah, that looks like it should be fun. And from this seat behind the wheel, it pretty much delivers on that promise.
The new Juke's wheelbase is over 10 centimetres longer than before, which has given it a crucial extra 58mm of rear legroom and a 422 litre boot. That's 20% bigger than the previous models. It's also 13% stiffer, which has made what Nissan refers to as the original compact crossover considerably more dynamic on the move. In the fullness of time, the 1 litre petrol turbo will be joined by a hybrid model, but Nissan says there are no plans to make a Nismo Juke. which is a shame because it feels absolutely ripe for that kind of treatment in the future.
There's nothing amazing about the brakes, but there's nothing wrong with them either. The thing stops just as you'd want it to. There's a nice amount of feel through the pedal, no complaints there. It's just really nice and easy to drive the new Juke, and I know that's not particularly flattering, but it's kind of difficult to achieve, and there is this nice harmonious balance between everything it does as you just go down the road. The steering feels in tune with the throttle response, which feels in tune with the brake response, which feels in tune with the damping. It just feels really nicely polished, does the new Juke. The standard gearbox is this one, the 6-speed manual. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. It doesn't have a particular snap to it, up or down, but it's perfectly okay. But you've also got this optional DCT gearbox for a few more pounds, which is made by Gearbox. They say it works very well. I don't know, I haven't tried it yet, but this is the one that most people are going to specify, and nothing wrong with it at all. One of the complaints about the old Juke was that there just wasn't much room on the inside, particularly in the back there. But the other area that they've really improved this car is just with the interior generally. Nissan describes it as having a premium feel inside. I'm not sure I'd go quite that far, but it no longer feels cheap and cheerful inside here. And the standard specification is really high, even on the basic 17.5 grand model. Because on that model, you get the touchscreen, you get the Apple CarPlay, the Android stuff. You get pretty much everything you would want. And that is a lesson that the genuine premium manufacturers could learn from, because when you buy your 17.5 grand Juke, there's not much more that you would want. You can add to it, of course. Eventually they're even going to have a Wi-Fi hotspot in this car. It's not available yet. It will become available in mid-2020, they say. But I mean, that's pretty sophisticated stuff, to the point that Nissan refer to the new Juke as the most connected Nissan ever. And in this day and age, and with cars like these in particular, that's important. And Nissan have not scotched on the spec of the new Juke. Do you know what? This is not really my kind of car, traditionally. I'd like quite a bit more horsepower, possibly the other end to be driven rather than the front end, and just more sporting feel generally from my automobile. But I really like the new Juke just because it ever so slightly over delivers on everything that you want it to. It's not just perfectly okay to drive, it is actually quite enjoyable to drive. It is nicely made. The cabin is better than you'd expect for the price, and the spec is tremendous. I think it's a really good little car, the Juke, and I reckon they will sell a whole heap more over the next few years as a result.
Click on the video windows to watch unboxing vids of the new Ford Puma and the latest Renault Captur. Click on the play icon to watch our latest video, or on our logo to subscribe.